I'm Irma Garza. You're watching the Edinburgh Cable Network. We are visiting with our mayor, Richard Molina, and this is the Mayor's Report. Thank you so much for coming to share information with us, Mayor.
Absolutely, Irma. I'm glad to be here. We just finished a coffee with the mayor.
Our very first one.
Very first one. Great turnout over at my place, cafe. The owner said, "Hey, you should have given me advance. I would have prepared with more waitresses and waiters and servers." And I said, "Look, it's just something that we're trying through trial and error. Obviously, it worked. They want to see it again." I'm probably shooting for one weekday, which I was surprised on a weekday, on a Tuesday morning, that there was that many people there. And then, of course, we'll shoot for a weekend. So we'll do probably a Saturday during this coming month. So exciting times for Edinburgh. Got a lot of good feedback, got a lot of good ideas from people on some of the things that they want to see, and some complaints that I think that we need to address and go over. And obviously, we have some questions that have come in, which we're about to answer, and I'm glad to do this, as they, not everybody can make the council meetings, and not everybody can get on the podium, and not a lot of people like to be out in the open, and not many people like to speak out in public. They said there was a study that was done many years ago, and they said the number one fear for most people was public speaking, and number two was death. So it lets you know that sometimes people are afraid to get out and speak openly, but that's okay. I'll take the private questions, which are more important, and we'll address them like you got on the podium, and we actually got it out in front of the open, so it's good.
And we want to thank the community for responding. We got a lot of great questions. We're going to get to as many as we can today. We only have 15 minutes, so we're going to get with it. But before we get started with the questions that you all have submitted, also want to talk a little bit about what is happening with Eisenhower Park, Mayor.
Yes, Eisenhower Park is a project that we started probably about 2 years ago. And it's going to be a huge park on a 23-acre tract, which is going to be located on North Doolittle between miles 17 and a half and Rogers Road. And it's going to be between Eisenhower Elementary and Memorial Middle School. It'll be the first park that we do in the past 11 years. So if you've gone out there, you can pass by, see the dirt moving. It's going to have soccer fields, football fields, baseball and softball fields, as well as playscapes, and some upgrades to some lighting up there, long overdue. And I just think that's great. It's a quality of life project. It's something that we're going to be working at. I know that Capable Kids is another organization that we're looking to work with to get the equipment for those with disabilities, those children with disabilities, and even adults. You and I, Irma, were out there for the Miracle Mile. Yes. Very, very inspiring. If you didn't have a lump in your throat and you weren't touched by that, I don't know what will get to you, but I'm telling you that that was great to be a part of that. And I know the Chamber of Commerce is also working on their class leadership project, which is to also get equipment for kids with disabilities, and not in one park, but in multiple parks. So it's something that we're definitely look at as we talk about parks.
Very good, and we will keep you informed as that is moving along. Let's get to that first question. We have not changed these in any way. This is exactly how they were submitted to us. And the first one, it says, Mayor, is there anything the city can do about apartment trash bins? The ones behind the Mormon church are atrocious. The ones off of Stubbs have dirty diapers and they're out in the open. What about code enforcement? Trash cans on the streets, all eek. Boats are parked in the line of vision. You would have a bunch of cash citing these people. So what can be done? Whose responsibility is it to take care of those trash bins at apartment complexes?
First and foremost, when it comes to commercial establishments, the owner or operator, sometimes apartment manager or business manager, is in charge to making sure that the cleanliness is done. However, I know what it's like also as a business owner to have a commercial bin. And some of the issues that I have run into is you have people from neighborhoods that are nearby that grab their own personal trash, grab tires that they have from their residential area, and then they go dump it over where they find the biggest bin. So
they'll never notice.
There's some illegal dumping that does take place there, but ultimately it is the responsibility of the business owner to make sure that those bins are clean. But we do encourage you to report that to the city immediately. Don't let days go by where it starts to build up and look uglier and uglier by the days. But there is a number here, 956-381-5665. you can call the city or code enforcement 388-8203. So if you see any of that, you can call these numbers directly and report it. We'll try to get out there as soon as possible. Or you can hit me up on Facebook and send me an inbox, and we'll get out there as soon as possible. So it's just something that happens. And I can tell you that this happens in my personal business where I've had to call and make my own report because there's illegal dumping that takes place. And yes, sometimes it does belong to the people from that establishment, and other times there's illegal dumping.
What about the boats, Mayor? Boats that are parked out on the street, maybe even in people's property?
Yes, the boats cannot be parked out in people's property. The big one we get is all the time is people parking on the lawn. That is a violation of Edinburgh City Ordinance. So if you do get, call us out there, we're going to go tag it. If the boat gets tagged, they have 48 hours to move it. And if they do get a tag on the door, then they have 3 days to move it. But ultimately, if they don't, they're going to get cited by either one of our police officers or code enforcement officers. And they're going to have to probably pay a fine at Edinburgh Municipal Court, which is not good. But ultimately, it's all about the activity of the citizens that are willing to come forward and report these things.
All right. So if you see it, call it in. We'll go out and take a look. All right, sir. The next one, number 2, is what is the city currently doing to improve traffic safety at the intersection of Jackson Road and Chapin Street? A traffic signal is really needed in this area.
Yes, and you know, this area here is very busy as it's in the area of the university. There's a lot of multifamily and a lot of new subdivisions that are coming up. We have been working on this even before I became the mayor as a councilman, what happens is we have to get a hold of TxDOT and they'll go out and see if it is a state, if it falls under their jurisdiction. If it's city, then we'll go out there and do the study. But it's really difficult because it's called a warrant study. Mm-hmm. So they have to go out there and they have to do traffic counts and they have to make sure that a traffic signal is needed at that location. Now, whatever that study reveals is what we have to go based on. Because a lot of people say, well, why don't you override the study based on observations? You guys should do that. It doesn't work like that, because if the study warrants that, then we go with it. If not, we don't. And if we were to bypass the study, then we would be held liable for that. So we definitely, if there's an accident that takes place, but really I know that a big thing that the state looks at is the amount of fatal accidents in that area. That's usually priority on the list. And in this case, they did do a study. It did not warrant a traffic signal. However, it's something that we're going to continue to look into as the area continues to grow. In other words, we can go do another study to see what our findings are. So
at this time, maybe it doesn't, but maybe in a year or two, it could.
Correct, correct. It's very, very possible.
Very good. So we'll keep monitoring that one.
Yes.
Okay. Number 3 is, why are we paying for a South Texas ISD tax on our property taxes when we have no children going to that ISD? Also, if you can't answer that, please direct me to who I need to speak with or file a petition with. Thank you, and very happy that you are our new mayor! Exclamation point. We need a change! Exclamation point. Have a great day, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you very much for the question. And it is a good question because I had to do some research on this one off the top of my head. You know, you get your tax statement and you don't even read the line items. You just go pay because you know if you don't pay, there's going to be penalties. But in this case, my children do not attend and I also pay taxes. But this was done years ago and I didn't even know this. There was an election that took place back even before the 80s where they petitioned to go ahead and tax, and that was passed by the voters way back when. So it's kind of like the same thing they did with South Texas College. And as long as the bond passed and the voters by majority want that, that's what ends up happening. So it became a new tax way back then. So that's how it is. I mean, we'd have to probably look at petitioning our county commissioners and our county judge and then take it up to state so that you can probably get a referendum to undo that. But it would be very, very difficult and unlikely.
Okay, that's a good question. That's one question that I had myself, you know.
Yes.
Okay, number 4. Can we attract a hotel that will compete with the Renaissance in McAllen, that's Las Palmas at Renaissance? The professional soccer teams and the acts that will perform at the Bert Ogden Arena will all stay in one place, and that's the Renaissance, because it's the best hotel in the valley right now. We should be able to have them stay here in Edinburgh.
Yes. Speaking of the Renaissance, that is a very, very historic hotel, and it holds a lot of history. As a matter of fact, I was over at the Menger Hotel a couple of weeks ago, and it also has a lot of history in the heart of San Antonio, just like the Renaissance does in McAllen. We do have the Echo Motel, which does have a lot of history. There has been talks about renovation. However, everything here is being brand new. We do have the new Marriott on Trenton. There's a Holiday Inn Express. There's a Hilton coming as well here to Edinburgh, and multiple hotels that are going to be off the expressway and Trenton, where I've seen the plans for the future, which are going to be coming up very, very soon. So something like that, it's just sometimes you're blessed to have it, like we're blessed to have the county courthouse, which is another historic building, and sometimes you just don't. But as far as hotels, we're going to have destination hotels, and what they are is they're rated. There's a star rating, and the higher the star, that means the more service that they provide. So those are hotels that are coming to Edinburgh very, very soon.
And perhaps we're not privy to release that yet, but those, you're working on that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And hotels are opening up in every corner, and I know there's different things that they use to bring people in. Some of them are just have bars and different locations. I know that some that are coming in the future are going to be dine-in. So literally you can have people that are staying at the hotel that'll dine in there and have some drinks at the bar. Or there'll be people like us, locals, that'll go over there like they do to some of the hotels, the previous Embassy Suites hotel, which is now the DoubleTree, I know gets a lot of action also in the city of McAllen. So you're going to find most of those hotels going up this year, and I know that the Marriott has started that trend here in Edinburgh.
Very good. Mayor, some really good questions for our first questions. And this is our second edition of this show, and we look forward, to you sending some more. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, but we do want to remind everyone that if they have a question for you, they can look for you at the next Coffee with the Mayor.
Absolutely.
They can come to a city council meeting, or they can always get a hold of you via social media or come by here.
Absolutely. They can come by on the second floors where I have my office. So we're always trying to be as accessible as possible, and just keep on being persistent. If you do need to get a hold of me, I know sometimes that if I don't recognize the number, send me a text message, tell me you're a citizen, trying to get a question answered, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
And if you want to submit a question, anonymously, you can do it. Just go to our website. There is a Google form there that you can fill out. Just look for Mayor's Report and click on that, and it will take you to it. Submit it to us, and we will keep you anonymous. Send us your questions. The mayor is going to be more than happy to answer them for you. Mayor, thank you so much for coming by, and thanks for the great news on Eisenhower Park.
And thank you for having me, Irma.
And thank you for watching the Edinburgh Cable Network. I'm Irma Garza.